welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am making a Mother's Day card, and we are using some more of the Lovely Layers from Honeybee. This is the Lovely Layers Coneflower. Again, I went to their website. This one's pretty easy to figure out what goes where, but if you are struggling, go to their website and type in whatever layers you're trying to find, and on there, when you click as if you're going to buy it, it'll show you a little link that says download layering guide here. You click it, it's a PDF, you can print it in color. I just try to conserve my colored ink, so I print it in black and white, and then I store it in my stamp pocket. We're going to be using that. We're going to do some paper pouncing to ink blend these, and then I have a layering die set here. You don't have to use the layering die set background die. You can use whatever you've got. You could stencil, doesn't matter. And I just cut that out of some HAMMERMILL cardstock, and I haven't decided which one of those two I'm going to use. For some reason in my mind, I thought I was going to make 2 cards. I ended up making just 1. Here I have some paper pouncers. I purchased these ones off of Amazon, but you can get the Picket Fence Studio ones. I think they are fairly the same. I went ahead and cut all of my die cuts out off screen just to save some time, and I'm going to be using Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated line. I think I've got Carnation, Rose, Peony, and Cherry, and then for kind of my orangey color, I have Cheeky, Blush, Pucker, and Mandarin. And then for my greens, I have Field and Fairway, and then I do bring in a couple of browns. I think I've got Mocha and Cappuccino as my browns, and that is for the coney part of the coneflower. I'm going to paper pounce these on some scrap paper just to help make cleanup just a little bit easier, but the ink comes right off of this glasswork surface as well. One of the things to note whenever you're doing layered die cuts that they build on one another to make a flower, your most full layer is your darkest. So the one that has the most surface area is your darkest. Now, if you're going to be making one that is, if you were to stamp it, it's the opposite. So when you stamp the most solid layer, that is usually your lightest layer. But when you're building with a layered die set, your most solid layer is your darkest layer because it's toward the back, and so naturally there would be more shadowing on it, more shadows on it. Here I am just doing what is going to be the top layer of this centerpiece of the coneflower here, and that lightest layer was in the cappuccino, and then this one is like super juicy, like crazy juicy, and is the mocha. I go right along and just pounce these colors on, and it goes super fast. In fact, since I'm not doing anything fancy, I am going to speed this up quite a bit. It took me about 5 minutes to paper pounce all of these die cuts here, which is really fast. I'm going to do a different way to color these in a future video, and it takes way longer. So if you are in a hurry, you need to get down color fast, this is the way to go. I don't know why I did not attach these to my little grip mats that I have, but I didn't. That would be another quick way to kind of make the cleanup of these a lot faster. For the leaves, the only kind of shading or ink blending that I did that was, I guess, quote unquote fancy was on these leaves, and that's because they are a single layer. There's nothing that layers on top of them to add dimension, and so I just try to get it a little bit darker with that, I think it's Field, toward kind of the base of the leaf. For the flowers, my darkest layer was the cherry. This is for my pink flower, and then I kind of went from there, and you can see it didn't take me any time at all to ink blend these. One of the things I will say that I wish I would have been thinking about, since you do start, and I did it on this flower. So here I started with my lightest ink, and the lightest layer. So your highlight layer, I guess you could say. And then I didn't have to like clean that paper pouncer off in between layers because I was building up to a darker layer. I did the reverse on the pink one. And so I tried to kind of clean that paper pouncer off a little bit so that I would have some different definition and color. So that's something to be mindful of. I would start with your lightest layer and work to your darkest so that you don't have to, like, quote unquote, clean your pouncer off in between layers. I'm going to glue these die cut backgrounds flat to my card bases. I don't know if I just miscut my card base, or as I was die cutting these, it made these card front panels a little bit different sized, but I did have to end up taking these to my paper trimmer and kind of trim them down a little bit. Since this layer in particular is very, very detailed and has very, very fine points on it, I just added glue in strategic places, mainly around the outside perimeter of it. Here I am going to take it to my Tim Holtz trimmer just because this one has a little more oomph to it and can cut through multiple layers at one time. Sorry the table shakes, but I'm just showing you that I'm just taking this to my trimmer and kind of evening up all of these edges. Once I did that for both of my card bases, I am going to go ahead and practice and make sure that I've got enough ink, that the ink has dried and dyed and set into the paper enough, and I like the variation in color I have. If I feel like I need to have more, I can go do that. Here I'm just kind of practicing and making sure that I'm liking how they are going to look one on top of the other. And then I'm going to take the layer that is going on top, and I'm going to apply glue to that and then set it on top to adhere. One of the things that I found is that there's a point in, like, the very center of that coneflower that was kind of distinguished, was a distinguishable point for me. And there was a couple of flowers that their shape was very distinct. And so those were the places that I used to kind of trigger my mind to line these up correctly. And the honeybee sets, I'm loving these more and more just because they are so easy to layer. The peony that we did in a previous video had like 7 layers. This only has 4. So if even that peony kind of is a little bit scary for you, then try this coneflower. It has less layers, still looks really beautiful. One of the things that I have done is I did cut these out with some heavyweight cardstock. If you were using a lighter weight cardstock, you could, and you still wanted a little bit more dimension or whatnot, you could add foam layers to sections of this coneflower. You could do that with the peony. I've seen people do that. Here I'm showing you the part that's kind of distinct for me that I kind of use to make sure things are lining up right. You could add foam pieces to certain layers of this and get even more dimension. But more than likely these cards will be put through the mail, and so I was trying to kind of rein in the dimension. But if it was a card I was going to be hand delivering, or a tag, that would be really cool. A tag that was going to go on a package, you could definitely add some more oomph to these and add some foam to certain layers. That would be really, really pretty. If you're going to do that, make sure that you have ink on both sides, since they will be a little more visible, the underside, just so that it gives it a more complete and finished look. So I'm just going to finish up layering these little middles, and then I will glue those into their coordinating spot on the center of each of these flowers. Off screen, I arranged the flowers how I liked and kind of let that sit off to the side so I could determine if I really liked that layout. My sentiment comes from the reveal wheel. I was looking for a very small Happy Mother's Day. I have some that are very large, some that are very ornate, and I wanted something very simple, something very subdued, I guess, for lack of better words, that would not compete with these beautiful coneflowers. So I'm just going to attach these to an acrylic block, and I'm going to test it with one of the inks that we used. I'm going to use this peony ink, just to kind of stamp it and make sure it's straight. It's not, so I have to do this a few times just to make sure it's straight, and I like how it's set up. Once I'm okay with how straight it is, I'm taking a Spellbinder's Sentiment Banner die and die cutting that out. And then I'm going to glue all of these flowers down flat. Again, this HAMMERMILL cardstock is a little bit thicker, and so it gives it enough weight to where it doesn't look flimsy. It doesn't feel flimsy. And I'm going to glue all of these down in that orientation I had before. And then I'm going to glue the sentiment on flat as well. So as a last bit of finishing touch, I guess you could say, I added some clear sequins. These are from A Range of Color on Etsy. They are just clear with some shine to them, and I thought that would really finish the cards off. I added 3 above around that orange flower and then 3 below around the pink flower, just to kind of help draw your eye in. I thought that would be a nice little touch. This is a card layout and design that you could use for anything. You could add critters or leaves, whatnot, tools, fish, whatever person you were trying to make it for, you could do that. The last bit of finishing touch, I felt like this needed just, again, a little bit more sparkle, so I have a clear glitter brush pen here from Spectrum Noir, and I'm just going to add this to the petals of these flowers, not to the center and not to the leaves. I just wanted these petals to have just a little bit more shine and help kind of draw your eye to these beautiful little flowers that we did. So I did paper pouncing with this, and I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I'm going to color these in with a different medium in a future video. So we get some more use, and you can see different ways to add color and dimension to these beautiful flowers. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you feel inspired, and we will see you next time. Bye.